He's been playing with it. He's been issued with the mic. Clint, so you think the voice is going to go through, right?
Yes, it is. I just did a sound test.
This is why you needed it. You needed like by Wednesday. You know, we talked about this 3 or 4 months ago. They have these things on Friday before, one that Friday before the meet. That's Friday night, 8 days before. And then we'll have whatever we have. Be careful.
So today I'm in Fort Clark, Texas, right next to the town of Brackettville, and what a special treat I have for you all today. This fort opened in 1852, one of a series of frontier forts that were established just after the Mexican-American War to secure the Texas border and protect the road to El Paso. The town of Brackettville, once known as Las Moras, was found next door around the same time and served as a stagecoach stop. This lively town had a vibrant nightlife with saloons and gambling, but later that dried up when the railroad bypassed the town. In 1861, the U.S. 3rd Infantry surrendered the fort to Confederate soldiers who occupied the fort until 1862. A group of black Seminole scouts were headquartered at Fort Clark from 1870 to 1914. These were a group of former slaves that had mixed with a group of native Seminoles from Florida. These scouts proved valuable in campaigns against Native Americans in this part of Texas. In 1873, Ranald Mackenzie led the 4th Cavalry deep into Mexico territory against Kickapoo and Apache natives that had raided portions of South Texas. They wreaked havoc south of the border, resulting in significant reduction in raids from Mexico into Texas. In 1876, the Buffalo Soldiers under William Schaefer were stationed in Fort Clark, and they also led campaigns south of the border and were instrumental in stabilizing this portion of the state by the year 1880. Afterwards, various cavalry and infantry units were stationed here over the years. George S. Patton, after being promoted to colonel in 1938, served at Fort Clark for 6 months and was given command of the 5th Cavalry. He apparently really enjoyed the brief time he spent here, but he was destined for greater things as a general, strategist, and logistical genius in World War II. In 1941, soldiers were trained at Fort Clark for combat in the Pacific Campaign of World War II. In 1943, the 2nd Cavalry Division, the U.S. Army's last horse-mounted unit, was activated. 12,000 soldiers were stationed here until being deployed to Europe in 1944. There was even a German POW camp here. In 1946, just after World War II, the fort was closed for good, and today it serves as a resort and retirement community. And let me tell you, I have passed through this area multiple times over the years, never bothering to stop in here. If I had known just how impressive and cool of a place this was, I certainly would have stopped here and recorded a long time ago. Have you ever wanted to stay the night at a military barracks? Well, Fort Clark is a great opportunity to do just that. We stayed in this building last night, Patton Hall, and there's a couple more behind me. And from this motel, you can easily do the walking tour around Fort Clark. You can pick up a walking tour guide right there at the motel office. This is the 1854 Powder Magazine, possibly the oldest building at the fort. And you can actually go inside. Of course, it originally didn't have windows like you see today. This is the 1874 Commanding Officers' Quarters. Its first resident was Colonel Ranald Mackenzie of the 4th Cavalry. This is the 1888 Staff Officers' Quarters and was the resident of future General George S. Patton while he was stationed here in 1938. This is the 1869 Palisado kitchen and mess room. It was actually built by the 25th Infantry Buffalo Soldiers. So this giant swimming pool you see ahead is actually spring fed by Las Moras Springs. These springs were a very important source of water here. The primary reason why the fort was chosen at this site. And so the pool is currently closed for repair. Wow, this swimming pool is huge. I'd love to come here when it's back in service again. So this is Las Moras Creek, where it emerges from the ground right next to the swimming pool. I'm sure many a soldier had a great time splashing around in the water here. Pecan tree.
I'm not used to those stairs.
What an oasis this must have been in the 1800s. These giant pecan and oak trees right next to Las Moras Creek and Springs. Incredible. And trust me, when you drive in the surrounding area around Fort Clark, you don't see any trees like this. Wow, so this was once a campsite for the Comanches. This was certainly a precious resource and worth fighting over. All right, the museum is now open. Can't wait. Tremendous collection of historical photos in this museum. Here's some soldiers crossing the Pecos River. Now the bridge there is much higher. And here's Fort Clark in 1926. I didn't realize until this trip just to what extent the southern border of Texas was really just a massive So if you continue on down the street to the dead end past the commissary, you'll see a little bridge. That is the beginning of a nature trail area. Really beautiful back here. Deer everywhere. Hello, friends. Look at this big, gorgeous tree. Pretty neat back here. Look at all the palm trees. There are so many vultures here that seriously I think they could pick me up and carry me away if they wanted to. So again, the area around Fort Clark is rather arid, desert-like. Not very many trees at all, but right here along Las Motas Creek, it is green, lush, and beautiful. Just enough moisture to support a forest.
Start taking their seats. We'll get started. We're a little bit late here, but we had a little technical difficulties. Are we ready to go over there? You're good? Thank you for doing this, by the way. All right, it's about 9:10. I will call the regular meeting of Fort Clark Springs Association to order. We will start out by establishing a quorum. We have 4 board members present. So we do have a quorum. We'll start with a moment of silence. You all stand. Now we'll go to the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We just messed that up. No, we're not doing that. No. I mean, we're not gonna not do that, is what I'm saying. There's just no way we're not gonna do that. So stand back up. I'm gonna look up the word. I'll be doing it. Thank you. All right. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. That's incredibly embarrassing. All right, thank you all for coming out for the meeting today. I know this is a little different, and there has been a change in the state law that puts us in a situation where we can do this all in one weekend. So that was kind of a change this year. Before we get started, we'd normally go into board reports and go through the minutes and the Secretary and Treasurer's and executive summary. But I have a little announcement before we get to that. So over the last 2 years, we've done so much here at the board, and it's been an amazing experience, and I really appreciate all the support from the people and the membership as we've tried to take on years and years of neglect. And it's been a wild ride, and I really appreciate everything that each of you do years of neglect. And it's been a wild ride. And I really appreciate everything that each of you do years of neglect. And it's been a wild ride. And I really appreciate everything that each of you do years of neglect. And it's been a wild ride. And I really appreciate everything that each of you do years of neglect. And it's been a wild ride. And I really appreciate everything that each of you do years of neglect. And it's been a wild ride. And I really appreciate everything that each of you do years of neglect. And it's been a wild ride. And I really appreciate everything that each of you do years of neglect. And it's been a wild ride. And I really appreciate everything that each of you do years of neglect. And it's been a wild ride. And I really appreciate everything that each of you do years of neglect. And it's been a wild ride. And with that, I'm going to resign from the Board of Directors of the Fort College Springs Association. Thank you all. With that, I'm going to resign from the Board of Directors of the Fort College Springs Association. Thank you all.
Thank you, Travis, for everything you've done. Okay, as per the agenda, we need to do the approval of two sets of minutes. One is for January 21st, 2013. The second is for February 18th, 2023. Lost 10 years ago. Never mind. For February 18th, have you all read them? You're all on 23. Lost 10 years. Do you want me to stand up, or am I okay here? Okay. Now, let's begin the process of approving January 21st, 2023. Has everyone read them? Are we prepared to vote? Let's begin the process of January 21st, 2023. Everyone read them? Are we prepared to vote? Okay. All those in favor? January 21st, 3. All right, great. Let's do the same thing for February 18th, 2023. All right, great. The same thing for February 18th, 2023. Okay, all in favor? Okay, those are approved. That's done. Okay, Secretary's report. Okay, those are approved. Okay, Secretary's report. There's no correspondence.
Testing.
There is no correspondence. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Testing.
Treasurer's report. There is no correspondence. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Treasurer's report for February. Treasurer's report. Sorry, I'm sorry.
We only have 2 wireless mics.
Treasurer's report for February 2023. Our hotel revenue for February was $20,617. $32. We're still running lower than last year for February. So hopefully we can work on bringing that up. The RD revenue is up. We're at $32,312 for the month of February. So we're up 35% over our budget, which is good. Our total income for February was $200,506. Our total expenses was $186,228. So we have a net income of $14,178. Our year-to-date total income is $1,055,063. Our total expenses was $1,026,466 for a net income of $28,597. For a net income of $28,500. Our total in all of our accounts is $484,256. Our total in all of our accounts is $484,256.
Executive officers report.
$484,256.
Executive officers report.
Most of my report will be given at the annual meeting. There'll be a synopsis of everything we've accomplished given at the year. The one thing that we are working on, we have lost our meter for the golf course, which one thing that we are working on, depending on whose interpretation might should be paying for it, the golf course, the issue gets resolved. Other than that, thankfully we have spring that's sprung, had a little water, dead trees that risen from the bed, and we seem to be looking in a good direction. Water, dead trees, hope it keeps up, we get more rain. We seem to be looking in a good direction. Water, dead trees, hope it keeps up.
Airport committee.
We seem to be looking in a good direction. Water, dead trees, hope it keeps
Architectural
up.
airport committee. Yeah. Anyone here to read it, or would you like me to read it? This is the report for 3/25/23. Since your last meeting, the Architectural Committee has approved 2 permits and tabled several permit requests due to lack of information supplied. We have sent a permit to the board needing variance. We've established a schedule for fines for CCNR and rules and regulations violations and sent it to the board. We have worked on a revision to violation procedures and reporting and the procedure for obtaining a permit. Also established a procedure for application procedure are we have elected officers for the committee and accepted 2 resignations. Barbara McFadden and Lee Gilby resigned this month. We have put out a dispatch requesting applications for the committee and are hoping to receive applications. All dispatch requesting applications for the committee and are hoping to receive applications. Yes, but there's nobody here for the Lost Moors tournament was held on March 17th through 19th. Friday was great for the practice round, but Saturday was cold and rainy. Not all teams got back in before dusk. When they did, a great meal awaited them. Brisket, pulled pork, rice, beans, and a variety of desserts. Thanks to all the volunteers. When they did, a great meal awaited them. Brisket, pulled pork, rice, beans, and a variety of desserts. Thanks to all the volunteers. When they did, a great meal awaited them. Brisket, pulled pork, rice, thanks to those who work on the show shop, thanks to all the servers, course volunteers, and those who work on our scholarships will be rewarded from the coach. Don't have any reservations. Someone's reservation here? Okay. Don't have any reservations. Okay, thank you. Recycling? Okay, thank you. Recycling? Lost Morris Restoration Project. I don't have it. Okay, it says, I previously gave Linda O'Brien the Lost Morris Restoration Committee report for tomorrow. It's short. There's been much activity with both restoration and fundraising in the last month, but the board and members are already fully informed of the details. Okay, yeah. I'm sure you're all aware of the $50,000 grant that we received from Team Old, right, in the party. Hopefully some of you got down there. It was really nice. So that's where they're at with that. Community Council report. Are you going to have any numbers for us? Okay. Go back for a minute to recreation. Anybody for recreation? No. Okay, old unfinished business. New lead for wastewater treatment area. Okay, so we'll move on. Email. Approval to engage accounting firm and pay $5,000 retainer fee. Anybody want to speak about that, Mr. Peterson?
We have a new firm, John F. Coggin, that is doing the final transition from the Black system over to QuickBooks Online. We spoke with them in a meeting Thursday. Hopefully they were a lot further along than we expected, but what this will do, it will transition everything out of the Black system. We are currently not using that for anything except for support for collections. Everything else is going on QuickBooks Online. It's John F. Coggin CPA, and after that is finished, one of their other departments will also be doing the audit for us. So it's a little further along than I expected. I don't think anybody understands just exactly how much data there was to get it over and get it current. But for once, we actually may have a current operating system that's up to date.
Thank you. Approval for Fort Clark Days Committee to use Fort Clark Association's facilities for Fort Clark Days. That was approved prior to Fort Clark Days, obviously. Any more discussion on that? Okay. Approval for Fort Clark Days Committee to sell beer and wine using TABC picnic license for in commissary for Fort Clark Days. That was approved. Approval for Board of Directors regular board meeting date change. That was approved. Approval for $4,532.23 to be paid to Trevino Electric and Gulf Flood Home. We haven't approved that. Approval for board meeting, annual meeting to be on the same day with lunch. That was approved. Talking about the variance on they haven't approved it. No. Agenda items. President Healy's February meeting absence. Move on. Board committee to research and advise on the process for chart changing or altering historical or common property in Virginia. We have not voted on that. Well, we did vote last
We
week.
can discuss it, we can go.
Before you vote or discuss, you need to know that there are two separate propositions that are in your packet. It states 2014, there was one done, and there was an amended one, 2017, that basically does the same thing.
That's that document you, that's that
I
document you
gave you
showed me
both
the
of
other
you,
day.
right. And it established a committee to do the exact same thing.
So we already have something in place.
Well, it's established in the, it's a proposition to do it. No one's done it. It's 2017, but it's there.
I think this is actually the resolution. The name is different, but this is a preservation committee. It was reestablished in 2017 because the declaration they added in the amount going into the preservation fund. So this is that committee, the board committee.
That's not what it says.
Have you seen
If
it?
you look at what it says there, it's exactly what people were asking for, but it's already done.
Well, I think then we need to talk to the preservation committee. I can read the resolution. The Board of Directors of Fort Clark Springs Association, this is the most current one, do hereby establish a historic building restoration and repair committee, and thereby dissolve and rescind the resolution of 2014-01 dated October 7, 2014, and recorded in McKinney County, October 22nd, 2014 as a document number 069844. Be it resolved that the committee shall consist of 7 members, 2 from the Fort Community Council, 2 from the Historical Society, 2 members at large, and 1 from the McKinney County Historical Society. Is that how the preservation is set up? And 1 non-voting liaison member from the Board of Directors. The initial appointment to the Board of Directors effective with the adoption of this resolution shall be 2 positions to expire January 31st, 2018, 2 positions to expire January 31st, 2019, and 3 positions to expire January 31st, 2020. Thereafter, each position shall expire every 3 years, and the Board of Directors shall make appointments to fill any expiring positions and to fill any vacancies that may occur from time to time for any reason. An appointment to fill a vacancy on an unexpired term shall be at the expiration date of the vacant term. Annually, after all appointment of members have been made, the committee shall convene an organization meeting as soon as possible to elect officers of the committee. Said officers shall consist of president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. A quorum of 4 members must be present at the meeting for any action to be taken or voted on. A relaxed version of Robert Rules of Order shall apply to all meetings. Meetings shall be held monthly as agreed by committee members within the boundaries of Fort Clark Springs. The purpose of the committee shall be to monitor the condition of historical buildings in Fort Clark Springs Historical District owned by Fort Clark Springs Association and to promote maintenance as required to preserve and protect the buildings. Funds necessary to perform the required maintenance shall be provided by Fort Clark Springs Association as provided by the Declaration of Protective Restrictions and the bylaws and further at the discretion of the Board of Directors. To me, that means that's what was set up for the Preservation Committee, because that's when those, it was added to the declaration. The monies are from the $4 to be put into the Preservation Fund.
That is not the scope of work they are doing now. They are only doing the historical structures in the exterior.
Yes.
This is including every historical structure that we own, which is pretty much what we were talking about. So therefore, the committee's already established. It just needs to be, the scope of work needs to be changed or either adhere to the original proposition.
Well, I would recommend that we research this further with probably somebody on the Preservation Committee that has been in the past or was on when it was set up. And so table this until we get that information.
So then, table to the next week.
I make a motion to take.
I second it.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, number 3, approval of a purchase for the meter of the golf course.
We received 2 bids from, Bud is the one contracting the contractors to do the work at the golf course. At the current time, there's no meter reading the amount of water that's being sent out onto the golf course. The meter that broke was put in 1994. It's lasted 29 years almost, and there's a need to get this replaced. If not, the golf course will not be watered indefinitely. We have 2 bids. One for $6,986.91. The second bid is for $6,345.25. I make a motion that we agree.
Excuse me, that is, according to Bud's contract, their responsibility. And according to their meeting in the morning, they were prepared to pay for it. So the question is, when did it change? I mean, that's what they told me in the morning.
They told you when?
The morning of their board meeting, which would have been Wednesday morning. It was relayed to me that they decided that they would pay for it, which is their responsibility, as well as the other 2 items that we paid for.
I spoke to Randy yesterday, and he's waiting for us to approve the amounts so
Like I
that they can
said,
start
it's
the work.
not our responsibility.
It is our responsibility. We have nothing saying otherwise that it's not our responsibility. If we don't approve this money to fix it, they're not going to fix it. It has to be fixed.
It's a meter that shows exactly, and it reports to TCEQ exactly how much gray water is pumped through the golf course. It's probably been there 20 years.
29.
I mean, it's an old meter.
Who owns it?
It's sort of like everything else. It's a good question because nothing's been adhered to as far as contracts with mud. I mean, you know, this is what we went to the lawyers to establish exactly who's responsible for the maintenance of the irrigation of the golf course.
Mr. Peterson, you met with Randy yourself?
No, I did not. I've met with Randy, but not on this issue. This
This is not the issue where
no, this is another one.
okay.
This came in after that. So, yes, we probably need water. I did not make the decision when I was told about it because I basically understood it was going to rain for the next week. It wasn't a priority. Then they decided to go to someone else to get a different opinion. So,
That was not communicated to us. Is someone here from the mud board that can help clarify that? Or that would be willing to?
I'm actually here from the blood board, but I'm not at the last meeting because my wife was getting eye surgery, so I don't have any answers for you on this. You can certainly ask.
We need, you want to discuss, somebody want to say something about this?
I wouldn't see it coming from, but however, let's say you are 100% right, in the best interest of the board, and I'm talking about a significant amount of money, why not get the meter? And we can go back to mud later, retroactively get them paid for.
I agree with that. I just need it to be stated in this meeting, the situation that exists and how we have to address it, because it has not been addressed. And we did go to our law firm, and we have already addressed it with our conclusion. Now it's a matter of, okay, how are we going to ever enforce it? So that's what has to be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, I discussed this at least 3 times with Randy. At this moment, it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to fix this. The bids were submitted to me. I I have spoken to Randy on 2 times. When this happened, he informed Mr. This is what he told me. He informed Mr. Peterson what had occurred, and at that time, Mr. Peterson decided to pretty much told him that they weren't going to do it. There has been no other communication from him or with Mr. Castillo regarding this issue. We have the bids. Mud is going to do the work. These are the bids we have right now. If it's not approved today, if we don't go forward today, it's going to go on indefinitely. Yes, ma'am.
Invite Randy or someone else from the board to speak with the board of directors as a whole?
Randy was invited today to be available. He had another recommendation.
They've been invited numerous times, and I believe Lisa and Memo went down and talked to them also. So the correspondence is good. It's just a matter, okay, who's going to resolve this? Because we're looking at a lot of things that should have been Mud's responsibility. And another example of them not following through is your road up on Fairway Circle. I mean, that's not acceptable either, but nobody's held them accountable. So that's where we are. We need to establish just exactly what we're going to do.
I have a question, and that is, whose actual responsibility is it to negotiate with Mud?
That would have been mine. Somebody else did it for me.
Sandy, I'm sorry.
At any point, did Mud agree to pay for the meter?
From what I understood, the board that morning, Wednesday morning, said they'd take care of it. That was correspondence, Philip, when we were asking about it.
If Mud at any time had agreed
I
to
don't
pay
have
for
the
this.
minutes, I'm not sure. But
if
then
they
it
had-
changed that afternoon after somebody else started negotiating price.
I was gonna say, if Mud had initially agreed to pay for this, and interference by you or the board or anybody go to convince them that we should pay for it, I think that's inappropriate.
Who owns the meter at my house? You do. I own the water meter?
Bud's responsible for your water meter.
Right, thank you very much.
And
So
from the
therefore,
meter
they
out.
would be responsible for this water meter. If they replace my.
To clarify the situation, Wednesday, that was not communicated to the board. We had emails to the rest of the board and Alan, and nothing came back other than, well, we need to follow, the lawyers, but we've seen nothing of what the lawyers have told us. The board has not received paperwork saying what their recommendation is, how we're supposed to move forward. And we're told by Randy and by Mr. Peterson that they weren't paying for it. So,
Excuse me, who runs Fort Clark? Who runs Fort Clark? Mr. Peterson? Does Mr. Peterson run Fort Clark? Then it's up to him to figure it out. Not you.
It was my understanding, it was my understanding when this all happened, that Goodwill came to me. And I basically looked at the situation. I realized, okay, we're coming up to the big tournament, but also saw the weather and knew that we were going to have plenty of rain for the next week, easy, which did happen. So we already had it watered for that 1 week, so we were in good shape for at least another 10 days. And I felt like that was adequate for us to research and get the time and get this meter we needed to. But then it got taken out of my hands. And all of a sudden, the scenario with Mud changed, and all of a sudden, we were paying for it. So that's where it went.
I think at this point, we just put this on hold while you figure out what you need to do, Mr. Peterson.
May I ask a question?
why don't we just pay for it? And mud, pay it back.
I don't mind that, but we have to acknowledge what's going on.
That
And
it's
it's never been acknowledged here before. Everybody skirts the issue and doesn't do anything about it. Folks, that's money. I know we don't want to sue ourselves, but if we sue them for $1 million, get $1 million settlement, we still only pay $500,000 and we get $1 million. There's no way it doesn't work. But the contract said MUD is responsible for the irrigation system. So,
Angela?
Mr. Peterson, mud, I've been here 20 years, and the people have been here a long time. Mud has a history of not paying. We have paid thousands and thousands of dollars doing what they could be doing, and I'm so glad to see you bring them to account, because that is their meter, I promise you.
well, not only that, I mean, we're looking at roads. Anybody who lives on Fairway Circle, I mean, come on, folks, that's been there for 6 months now at least. And if you go look at most of the problems where Fort Clark has issues with our potholes and everything else, those were usually water repairs from that mud. So it's not necessarily Fort Clark that's missed the boat on all this. It's not holding other people accountable for what should have been done. I just felt like it's time we bring it to a head and get it out in the open. Everybody understands it.
I would like to say issue.
We will be doing the interior lighting, and yes, it is in the same tracks and the same way. It's the exterior panel only.
So the look is staying the same. So the look is staying the same.
All right, moving on. Now. Oh, I thought you did the rules.
The one you
recommended.
sign it now.
Okay, so we're gonna vote on the approval of preparing the marquee. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Okay.
Sign it now. Sign it now. All right. Okay, $400.
Correct. Okay, a motion for that, second? All in favor? All three, all right. All right, that's done. All right. Is that it? We're gonna do the announcement that there's an annual meeting to follow this board meeting at 10 a.m. I'm sorry. Annual meeting following, yes. April 8th, Easter egg hunt, 10 a.m. Rendezvous Park. April 9th, Easter service, sunrise, Easter service, 7 a.m. Amphitheater. April 22nd, Wandering Cats, second annual golf tournament at 10 a.m. Okay, anything else you guys want to start? Okay, so we need to make a motion to adjourn. I just did. Okay. We're a little.
I make a motion to adjourn.
At 9:44.
I second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor? And the meeting is closed. So we're hoping to see you here back at 10. So about 15 minutes, we'll start the annual meeting. And we were a little, I'm sorry, I've just been a little rattled with what happened this morning. So we will get back into the swing of things. Question?
I have a question. Is there anything that I can find the rules or regulations on what can or cannot be placed on common property? I invite you to look.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm really different from above board.